Rated T for Teen.
Sierra Entertainment proudly presents World in Conflict, the most intense strategy game ever created. 5 out of 5. Easily one of the best gaming experiences of 2007. GameSpy.com. 9.5 out of 10. GameSpot.com Editor's Choice. A PC Gamer Editor's Choice Award winner, 93%. IGN.com's 94% Editor's Choice. War is coming home. World in Conflict. Available now for the PC.
So, just got back from Bungie, checking out the new map pack. What's it look like?
Unlike the first map pack, the heroic map pack, they actually talked quite a bit about all the maps beforehand, before we got up there. So I kind of went in there. It was like less of a surprise. I'm like, I know what I'm getting into. You know, I'm just actually playing it. There's no cool new reveals or anything.
Two of the maps, specifically Blackout. It's a remake of Lockout from Halo 2. And then Avalanche is sort of a retooling of Sidewinder from Halo 1. I mean, maybe that had something to do with whether they decided to talk about it ahead of time or not.
Like, you could tell they're all about, like, let's make the fans happy, right? Because everyone loved Lockout.
We try to stay as close as possible to the original Lockout. We know it's really important to fans. They love Lockout. It's actually, all our statistics show it was like the #1 played map in Halo 2. People have been asking for it basically since Halo 3 came out. When the artist started working on it, Paul Russell, who is the environment artist on it, he wanted to try something different, not just revisit the Forerunner, but actually try an entirely different take on it. And he went with like a remote, Arctic station or Antarctic station.
Now, it's kind of set in the middle of the ocean, and it's dark. It's like nighttime.
It's kind of an Arctic setting. There's like glaciers in the background.
Yeah, it's a human base, and actually, it's funny. Like on one wall, I don't know if you remember, like the main platform, like it's a helipad, right? And then in one of the rooms where you go into to get a plasma rifle, where you can drop down to get the energy sword, in that room is a basketball hoop. I tried to throw a grenade up there, but I missed. That's just for the recreation, for the people on this little.
That's cool.
In this base. But they said it's basically exactly the same. Like structurally, it's the same. They made some of the interiors a little wider, but they said they wanted to really keep the hardcore fans happy. So that means like the jump to the battle rifle tower, where you need to do a crouch jump to get up there. You still have to do that. They did make, the jump from the helipad to the sniper tower, where you have to do a crouch jump to get onto that windy catwalk.
Right.
They made that easier, actually. They built a little extra
platform.
yeah, a little platform, just so you don't actually have to crouch jump now. You can just
Right.
do a normal jump. But they even worried about things like if you're at the battle rifle tower and you shoot the fusion coil,
It'll still shoot the sniper
it'll
rifle?
it'll launch
Yeah.
the sniper rifle back across the map to your side of the map. So they said that was actually really hard because the physics in Halo 3 are different than in Halo 2. So they Lars, the multiplayer designer, said he had to really work on that and get that just perfect.
It took a long time to set it up to make it react. It doesn't react exactly the same way. Every once in a while, it'll get thrown like to the left or to the right. So it's not perfect, but that was one of the things that I worked on personally for a while, trying to get it, just right. So people who were used to, the first thing they did in Lockout was BR the fusion coils and have the sniper rifle fly over to BR tower. They can still do that. The thing is, like, people really liked the map the way it was. Even if there were things that were really nasty, like there were certain things like the BR tower from the library. You could kind of cover the BR tower from multiple places, and we did actually. People will notice that we put windows into a place that previously was open. We did that to try and help alleviate that, but that's like one of the changes we made, but we didn't do a whole lot other than that. We wanted to keep the map pretty faithful.
Now, Avalanche, that's reimagining of Sidewinder. It kind of looks like it's best for like large parties, objective style games. How did it play?
That was the one I was least looking forward to because I generally don't like the big team battle games or maps. Like
Right.
I'm not a fan of Blood Gulch and Coagulation. I don't like Valhalla, and it's Sidewinder. I remember back in those days when we tried playing Capture the Flag. It's just like these long stalemated games that last like 15 minutes and nothing would happen and the score would be like a soccer game, right? Like someone said, I forgot who said it, it's like the soccer of Halo, right?
So what we did to help increase mobility around the level, we put man cannons all over the place. So there's actually man cannons directly at the top and outside the base that right by the flag, when you grab the flag, you can go out a man cannon basically a fourth of the way across the level. The teleporter entrances now and exits lead to another big man cannon that actually shoots you right into the center. There's that whole new center cave. There's a lot more ways for the guy on ground, the infantry player, to get around the map a lot quicker. And there's a ton of vehicles too, so people have options constantly, and that was really important to us.
I thought this was going to be a slow-paced, really long, drawn-out map. And it was actually really fun. It was like, that was my favorite map of the day. I was like, wow, this is, like you're just zipping around everywhere. Like, it's so much quicker paced. And then in that middle area, since there's not a lot of interconnecting areas between the two halves of the map, it's just primarily just two big spaces where everyone's going to meet in the middle. So there's a lot of close quarters combat there too. And I found even I remember one time I was running on foot, and then some guy from Microsoft was behind me watching me. He's like, "You have all these vehicles, and you choose to walk," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's fine because actually it didn't take you long to get to the action."
We all know Lockout, and we sort of remember Sidewinder, but what's Ghost Town? This is one of the new maps, that we haven't seen before. What does it play like?
Like, there's multiple levels, right? And it's these decayed ruins. It's like this old water processing plant off of Sierra 117. So everything's kind of run down, decayed. Like, the concrete's all crumbling and falling apart. Some of the jungle has kind of overgrown into the area.
The idea was to have another kind of medium-sized, asymmetric, something on kind of almost Guardian or Lockout on a little bit larger scale. And internally, I believe we called it the Counter-Strike map. When it was originally put together, it was just a series of rooms with different choke points and really long sight lines in a couple areas of the map. And it was really fun to play from the beginning, when it was simply like a gray concrete box and there were no frills or anything. It was simply like a bunch of boxes running around in it. And we realized that the way it flowed was really unique, and it plays really well for particular game types. Obviously, like, one bomb and one flag. And Team Slayer is really cool too, because there are a lot of different areas of the map to try and hold, and a lot of really cool places to just hold up and stop people from getting around the map.
Yeah, it was a really cool map because that was the one new map. Like when we played Blackout, like instantly familiar. It was just kind of getting used to the new graphics and the lighting and things like that. But it's exactly the same as Blackout pretty much.
Yeah.
But Ghost Town was, that was like the new map, so that was really fun to play.
A few of the other things they've shown in addition to the maps is they're adding the filters that you can throw on in, or is that just custom games? You can create a custom map in Forge with the filter on, and when you save it out, you can then play it with that filter on.
There's an old-timey just sort of brown and white film grain. Yeah. And then there's like black and white, and then there's oversaturated colors, and there's blurry effects that look like someone just took a jar of Vaseline and just rubbed it all over your television screen.
I saw one that almost makes it look like the Master Chiefs are cell shaded.
They actually have one that kind of toned everything down, and they joked internally, they call it the Gears of War mode, because it's actually a lot less colorful and everything was just kind of gray and brown and gritty. They're kind of taking a poke at Gears of War there. All these things, they're really kind of useless. You could combine them, right, to do different effects, and most of them just made the game harder to play. I asked him, I'm like, what's the point? I didn't understand the point.
The real reason behind those things are more for kind of machinima and changing things up. And sure, for maybe you and I, it's not as interesting. It's definitely not for everybody.
People wanted to kind of use the Forge items. What they realized is like the users wanted to make have kind of permanent objects in Forge. One thing they showed, like on Blackout, they actually had these huge kind of solid metal doors that they could just use to close off entire areas, and it almost seals perfectly. It's like flush to the opening, so what you can do is close off certain areas on Blackout to just change how the game plays. If you want to say, okay, no one could get into the sniper tower, you could do that now, and people can't get in.
So us poor slobs will be getting our hands on the map soon, right?
Yeah, it's coming out soon, and I think we're getting the codes a little early so we could get some more hands-on time, which is, for me, that's great, because I'm not as good as like guys like you, so I need that kind of secret head start where I know where the rocket launcher is in Ghost Town, like, until you guys figure it out, I have the slight upper hand, and so that's the most fun for me, when I have the access to the game a little bit earlier before you expert assholes get into the game and ruin the fun for the rest of us.
Nobody understands me. I'm gonna go cry in the street. Oh man, what the hell? You're like totally stealing my shtick, man. I came out here to the stairwell to like cry and be all emo, and you're already here doing it. You even got a hoodie, man. I'm worthless.
I don't even know if I can even do this chat, to be honest. Like, you guys, maybe we should find somebody else. Like, I don't know if I'm cut up to do this chat about video game shit.
Yeah, gotta talk about a game. They want us to. But I mean, like, who cares?
Shut up! Stop talking. Just go the hell away.
So I hear this World Ends With You game is really emo.
It's like hella emo, man. You like cruise around Japan and nobody understands you and no one even sees you because you're like a ghost.
Yeah.
And you're listening to music and you're buying cool clothes. It's almost like a self-parody. I mean, the game, it's clearly designed by the same people who do a lot of the Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts games, and they're kind of infamous for giving everyone like cool leather clothes and feathered bleached hair and zippers and chains and buckles and stuff, even if it doesn't fit. But actually in this game it does fit. Like,
it totally makes sense, and the more you play it, I mean, I was kind of annoyed at first, and I'm like, oh oh man, these characters are so annoying. The main character is so unlikable.
Like more Squall than Squall.
Yeah, exactly. And it gets to the point where you're like, I just want him to die. Like, I don't really give a shit about him. But the more you play it, the more you realize that it's actually like, it's almost telling you that this kind of lifestyle is like retarded and that you shouldn't really like follow
Even
it.
the title of the game, eventually you come to realize it means like you can't just live your life in your own head all the time.
Exactly.
And as a video game, it's also pretty good.
You're good as gone. I can't. Be careful.
Like when you first start playing, it's almost a little bit overwhelming because there's action on the bottom screen that you control with the stylus, and then there's another character fighting along with you that you can control with a D-pad. And if you control both of them at the same time correctly, then you get special power-ups and things like that. But it's kind of a little much to focus on all at once.
At first I was like, oh my god, you've got to be fucking kidding me. It's so confusing because on the top screen there's like these kind of like DDR-esque like, you know, combinations that you do to get these little like emblems, and if you align all the emblems correctly, you get the special move. While you're doing that, you got to focus on the bottom screen. There's like enemies coming at you, all attacking, and you have your different powers that you're trying to use. And at first I was like, I don't know, Square. I don't know if I can do this. Like,
right, but it works. It ends up working because the game is incredibly customization friendly. Like the actual way you play is extremely flexible. You can adjust the handicap for your characters and set their level cap. So you may have earned experience up to like level 30 or 40, but if you set your experience down at level 10, you'll have very little hit points and you'll be very vulnerable to enemies, but the loot they'll drop it will be great, and you can set it to an even higher difficulty or a lower difficulty if you're having trouble. And on top of that, you can eat food that you pick up at restaurants throughout Shibuya, and that'll add hit points or it'll add bravery.
And the funny thing is, like, the emo aspects of it actually work within the context of the game, like you're saying, like the fashion elements, and even the way you attack, use little pins, like those like small little round pins. And it's funny because I'm like, oh my god, like, so basically all my attacks are from like emo pins. This is crazy. And like the whole thing is like you're wearing different pins, and like different pins have combinations, and it's actually bizarre. Like, and I'm
Basically turned superficiality into a video game, into like an action sequence. You're part of this game where people have you trapped in Shibuya, Tokyo, and to escape you have to fight through and survive a week. And each day is its own chapter, part of that week.
Yeah, and there's like time limits. They put a stamp on your hand that tells you you're supposed to finish this task in a certain amount of time. And yeah, I really like that aspect of it. And just the fact that like there's all these little like these small little creative things, like the fact that like the food, the clothing, and even like when you go into a clothing shop, you can befriend the people who are actually selling you the clothes. And so if you like browse some of the items, they'll tell you a little bit more about what abilities they give
and
you.
if you're not their friends, then they're like, geez, he's not really gonna buy anything. Yeah, I knew it.
The way the clothing system works is you have to have enough bravery to wear certain items. And so I'm like looking in the shops, I'm like, oh wow, that's a really cool shirt, I want to wear that. But I'm like, oh fuck, I can't wear it yet.
Right, and bravery is not like courage in battle, it's basically self-consciousness. If your character has low bravery, if Neku, the main character, has low bravery, which he starts out with, it's because he doesn't feel confident enough to wear like the really cool clothes. As you wear different brands, those brands become more fashionable, and you get battle experience bonuses for wearing the coolest, trendiest brands. But you're not stuck, swapping your clothes out every time you move to a new area. You actually, you can affect what's cool. So the more you play, the more you fight, the better you do in battle.
You can actually go out and listen to all the characters who are inside the world. You can listen to their thoughts, or read their thoughts, I should say. And I also like the fact that, so your little pins that actually have all your abilities on there, if you turn off your DS, the next time you turn it on, it will level up the amount of time that your DS was turned off. So if you don't play for a week and you turn it on again, you'll probably level up all your pins. And I'm like, that's a really cool incentive to like start the game again if you like, put it down for a while.
Right.
Open up your senses.
When you actually fight the random battles, you click on a little perceive button. It basically allows you to see what are called the noise, which are all the enemies in the area. And you can actually tap multiple noise in concession and actually like create a link, and so you fight like maybe 5 battles at once.
Right, if you can survive that, then you get all kinds of great bonuses.
Yeah, you get all sorts of pins.
It's basically the harder you make the game on yourself, the more loot you get. There's a real like risk-reward element to it. And the actual gameplay itself is really good.
It's so fun. And you can rearrange your pin slots. You're like, okay, I want to have a healing item here. I want to have like this range attack here. I want to have this slash attack here.
Right, and some of them, when you level them up, they actually evolve into something more powerful.
I got sweet. Gotcha.
It just seems complex.
Yeah.
But then once you play it, you realize in a lot of ways, it's just kind of your typical RPG. It just has some little quirks to it. It really becomes its own experience, and it's very different than anything else I've played on.
Oh yeah, for me, it's one of the best DS games I played in a long time. It just in terms of like what they actually put into the DS cartridge, in terms of like using all the touchscreen abilities, using everything that's cool about the DS in like creative and fun ways.
And the music.
Oh,
There's
the
tons
music's
and
great.
tons of music. And I hate Japanese pop and Japanese rap.
Yeah.
And that's all this is, but I love the music in this game. It all fits in, and it's all really good.
David,
What?
I just got an email from Bungie. I got a screenshot of Assassin's Armor,
Oh shit.
but wait till you find out what Assassin's Armor does. It's gonna flip you out.
Oh shit.
Alright. Read that on.
Oh shit.
A 5% speed increase.
Oh shit.
That doesn't even seem fair. Here's the screen. Weird,
Oh
huh?
shit. Yeah. It's crazy.
It's kind of like a transformer a little bit. Like, look at this thing.
Yeah. Oh, look at the spikes coming off the shoulder.
Yeah.
That's badass.
Do you like it better than Recon Armor?
Yeah, you gonna ask him so I
Sorry,
can
you
get
can't
pace
have it.
him?
Do you want the 5% increase in speed, or you just want to be able to say you have Assassin Armor? They said that must be why they're not giving it out to people, because that would really
Right.
throw out the balance. It's like there must have been like a dozen journalists there,
Yeah.
and it's like the only people besides a few people at Bungie is just these journalists who have Assassin's Armor. So it's pretty bad. Maybe I'll let you play with them.
I'll still beat you.
This is awesome.
What are you doing? Training for Mario Kart Wii, trying to get better with the awesome new Wiimote.
You don't play Mario Kart with a Wii, play it with a Wiimote nunchuck.
You can play with the classic controller, you can play with a GameCube controller, you can play with just this thing, you can, whee! But no, in order to really feel like you're playing Mario Kart Wii and have complete control over all the moves, you gotta have that.
Yeah.
And it's because of the tricks. Like tricks are a big part of this game. Well, anytime you jump, you can just wank wildly on the Wiimote and do a trick that gives you a giant speed boost.
Sure.
And you can link those together to get even bigger speed boosts. We're both big Mario Kart fans.
Yep.
From day one, Super Nintendo.
Yeah. Every single iteration.
Although I wasn't as into the Game Boy one, or the DS one was okay, but I love Double Dash, the GameCube one. I really, really liked everything it did, and this is not like that. This is more like the DS game, actually.
Right. Well, I mean, the Mario Kart franchise it's a history of reacting to what the previous game didn't do well or perceived didn't do well. It looks like Nintendo has reacted to the snaking phenomenon by basically making the power slide automatic now.
Yeah, snaking's gone. Drafting is still there, but
Yeah.
I think that's actually a good addition. It's kind of
Yeah.
fun, and it makes the big characters really strong. You can just like knock people out of the way when pushing past
Yeah,
them.
and it gives you something to. If you miss the boost at the beginning, you can still catch up to the pack fairly quickly, if you can time the drafting right.
Yeah, and when you were saying about it being reactionary, I feel that. Like I think Double Dash was maybe too complicated for a lot of people, and DS was simplified. People liked it, so this is more like that. It's a return to the basics.
Yeah.
You know,
No more 2-character carts. No more grinding. Traditional jumping and power sliding's back, albeit in tremendously modified form.
automatic power sliding, the addition of the jumps and tricks, and the new power-ups make it much more chaotic. Some of these new power-ups are crazy. Like Bullet Bill is so strong.
It's got it. They brought it over from the DS version.
Huge.
Yeah, and you know, it basically drives for you for a little bit.
And the power block.
Power block is really cool.
Power block's really a big deal actually, because
Yeah,
it affects everybody and they lose their power-up at the end.
But you know, the one thing is you have a way to get out of it, unlike you know, Blue Shell or Lightning, where you're basically stuck. If you're using the Wiimote, if you time shaking the remote right at the right time, when you spin out, you actually keep your momentum, so you actually don't slow down like everyone else.
Or if you're jumping and doing a trick, you don't get affected by it at all, which is another cool bonus. It's like a skill shot. I like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like the cloud. I don't really like it. It's kind of complicated. Like
Yeah.
first you get it and it gives you a boost, but then you have to give it to somebody else.
Yeah, basically it's the case of Hot Potato, where with the cloud and the lightning, and you're trying to hand off the cloud to somebody else by bumping into them before the lightning strikes you and shrinks you down.
I would get stressed out. I'm so like freaking out trying to give it to somebody. I end up flying off the track, so it's not good. Like the blooper, kind of lame. It just puts ink on everybody's.
Well,
display.
that's old. That was in there in previous Mario Kart, but I know it was there on the DS. I'm not 100% sure on Double Dash. The other new power-up is the Mega Mushroom they brought up from New Super Mario Brothers.
It's actually pretty cool.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah. You basically grow twice or 3 times the size you normally are. And if you're a small character, that's nice, because finally you get to knock the big characters out of the way and shove them off the track.
Yeah, I wish it lasted a little longer. It seems shorter than either the Star or the what's the good, like Gold Mushroom.
Well, yeah, and Bullet Bill lasts for a long time too.
The new tracks, there's some really cool ones. I like Wario's Gold Mine, is it?
Yeah.
It's called. I love that. It's like a roller coaster. Some shortcuts there.
I really like, because they really designed these tracks to kind of showcase some of the new movements you can do, like tricks and the way the power slide system works. I really like DK Summit, which is the snowboarding level where basically the last straightaway, you have a snowboard half pipe, that you're trying to chain the tricks together while dodging heavy snow piles and snowboarding Shy Guys. You know I love Shy Guys.
I love Shy Guys, but that course, specifically the half pipe at the end, it's kind of annoying because if you don't have the remote nunchuck, it's really hard to do those tricks.
It is.
So it's kind of an unbalanced playing field. Or if you happen to have something where you can just go down the middle like a Gold Mushroom or a Star, you can just pass everybody. It's a little unfair there.
Yeah, that's what I enjoy about the Mario Kart series is it's those weird shenanigan moments when you either shouldn't have won or someone else shouldn't have won and you get taken out right there at the end. It can be frustrating, but if you don't take it too seriously, it's a lot of fun.
Back to the levels. There are a few new levels I like the volcano is cool. There's a few other ones, but then some of the new levels are just variations on things we've seen before, like a new castle, a new town, a new, the new beach, things you've seen.
Right. Well, every Mario Kart has a version of that level, and that's nothing new. You have Mario Raceway, Luigi Raceway. Both of those are back. So I don't think it should be surprising that there are some that feel similar, but these tracks are they're redesigned from Double Dash. Even the older tracks that are brought back have new things added into them.
Yeah, actually, the classic tracks, some of my favorites are there, like Wario Stadium, and it's actually better. Oh, actually, it's a Waluigi Stadium.
Yeah.
Mario's from N64. It's actually better because they added those new jumps, and it adds a lot to the game, actually.
Yeah, and they've widened the track a little bit because the tracks were a little more narrow. At least some of them in Double Dash.
Although some of the tracks aren't the same because now when you go off-road, you're a lot slower than in like the previous games.
Yeah,
So,
I will say that's probably the addition that I like the least. You used to be able to power slide across grass, dirt, or whatever and hold it and take turns a little tighter. That's gone. If you're holding a power slide and you go off the track at all, you stop.
one of my favorite things added is actually a little thing, and that's the Mii integration.
Yeah,
Like playing as your Mii is awesome, but also like seeing your Mii put all over the other courses, like in statues or on billboards.
I got a lot of satisfaction walking in when you were playing it the other night, and I saw you were playing Luigi Raceway, and I saw my Mii's face on the huge statue, and you didn't even notice it until I pointed it out, but that pissed you off because you're like, I don't want Big Fun in my Mario Kart.
All over my levels. It was very upsetting, but yeah, it's cool, and like I think kids are really gonna dig that because all the Mii's on your Wii end up showing up in the game. So
yeah, no, I ended up wishing that there were more Mii's on the system, the debug system, so that we could really see all that.
So the other real big addition is motorcycles.
Yeah.
And I think it's more of a cosmetic thing than a real gameplay thing. They do play slightly differently, and you have some different tricks you can do.
Right. I mean, obviously the major trick is you do some more wanking, you can pop a wheelie with the motorcycle, and it gives you a mini boost, not a full-on boost, but it gives you a mini boost, which is really useful in straightaways. I will say that like the motorcycles, I have no problem with the way they control. They control great. Larger characters, if they're driving a kart and you're riding a motorcycle, they come along and like hit you, it will knock you out of the way. It really will affect your line. But I like the being able to pop the wheelie because I had a couple situations right at the end of the race when you're trying to come back, you need that one little boost to pass the last person before you get to the finish line. Pop a wheelie, it's awesome because right after you finish, you win the race. Your character's still popping a wheelie in the end of the race, so that's pretty awesome. They've had like crazy karts before. If you look at Mario Kart DS, you could race as a tank. So I mean, they've had a lot of cosmetic changes, but the fact that the bikes turn a little tighter, at least they seem to turn a little tighter, it changes the style of play up a little bit. You can do different things with it. So
Well, most people are still going to race baby carriages, so what does it matter?
Alright, so I didn't tell you this, I was supposed to tell you this yet, but Frankie said we could give him a call. He has to tell us a little bit more about the armor, how we get it this time. It's not automatic like the Recon armor is, but he said there might be a chance that I could get you the armor.
Oh, really?
So you should tell, I guess you're going to have to tell him why you deserve the armor.
Okay. I can sell myself.
This is Frank.
Frankie.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, it's you. Hey, I have here with me David Ellis, and so I told him that you just sent me the Assassin's armor. Thanks very much. But that you might have a message for us about it.
Oh yeah. Do you have a pen and paper? Because it's sort of convoluted the way you do it. We basically need you to kind of create. You can create a silver account to do it. But what we're doing is we're associating the unlock with a gamer tag. We've already registered it, so you guys are going to have to go through the process. So if you just have a pen and paper, I'll just give you a quick set of instructions. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we're ready.
All right. So you can either start a gold or a silver account. It doesn't matter on Xbox Live. Just create one. Go through all the process. Make sure, and this part you have to listen carefully. Make sure that for the first part of the address for that gamer tag that you put EGM space fiasco. It doesn't matter what case it is, but EGM space fiasco.
Okay.
Right? And then when you actually get to choose the gamertag text, make sure the gamertag is David is gullible, no space.
Oh, shit.
So sorry, man.
I don't want your stupid armor anyway.
Well, there's no such armor. But I said
All you fuckers were in on it?
Style.
God damn.